I'm going to tell you a little story about my intern. Now, 3 years ago during pandemic, I had this intern from a local college. But because of pandemic, we never met. We were not in the same office ever. Now, initially when I gave him some work, the delivery was very good, the work quality was nice, all delivered on time. Slowly the quality started deteriorating, the communication started dropping, and later I realized about 2 months, 3 months into the internship, I realized my intern had actually hired 3 more interns. And this guy was outsourcing his work to his interns. Now, I know this is like an extreme example, but we've all seen how things go wrong in outsourced work. And this is the primary reason why people are so fearful of hiring freelancers and outsourcing work to agencies. We're going to look at why such things happen, why are clients dissatisfied with outsourcing, why things go wrong in outsourcing, and the primary reason why people end up hiring full-time employees and keep them in the office and monitor them. We're going to look at various parameters that affect this market, and then we look at how to solve each of these. Hi, I'm Naman. I'm the founder of Reference. We are building a market network for freelancers and agencies across the globe. Today, we are going to talk about how things go wrong in outsourced work and what freelancers and agencies can do to mitigate such dissatisfaction from the customers. So when we talk about dissatisfaction, the primary thing to look at is what was the expectation and what was the delivery. And if there is a mismatch between expectation and delivery, there will be dissatisfaction. In outsourced work, there is expectation is measured in 4 parameters. A, the scope of the work or the final delivery, what needs to be delivered. If I expected you to give me the final file in a PDF format, but you gave me in a Word format, that's dissatisfaction. Second is punctuality. Generally, if you call for a meeting at 9 a.m. and you don't show up till probably 9:15, that is dissatisfaction. Third thing is the overall discipline of communication. If you're doing something but you're not informing the client that there is progress in work, or you've changed something in the product, you're not informing, or the client has changed something and they're not informing, there is generally dissatisfaction coming from lack of communication. And the fourth thing is in terms of money, whether it's non-payment from the customer, or there is an unexpected cost that the customer did not account for, or the payment terms are basically not matching. Right? So we look at the 4 parameters: scope of work, the discipline of discipline and punctuality in general, the third being communication, and fourth being the payment terms, etc. Now, if we match all of these 4 things from whatever was expected to be done to what is actually delivered, we get a very satisfied customer. When we talk about expectations and then matching those expectations, what we need to look at is where are these expectations recorded, which means is there a written communication between the client and the vendor. Now, if I tell you that I'm going to be there at 9 o'clock and we just had like a verbal commitment on phone, maybe I don't remember. Maybe it was 9ish and not 9 a.m. What if this is communicated on a WhatsApp or on email saying that I'll be there at 9 a.m. Similarly, with respect to pricing, now the unit might be per minute of recording if I'm say dealing with a photographer, or the unit could be per video recorded, right? Now, if these things are written and agreed upon, the chances of dissatisfaction will automatically reduce. And these things will happen again on those 4 parameters that we talked about, right? Showing up on time, delivering on time, the communication, the scope of work, the pricing. This all things must be written. Now, people generally start with a written contract, but there is always some change that happens. Now, this change could be environmental change, because of which the scope of the work has changed, because of which the delivery timeline has changed, and because of which maybe the pricing has changed. A lot of times, once the client and the vendor has started working together, they get so comfortable that they stop recording all these things in a written manner. Now, as a freelancer or as an agency account manager, the onus of recording this in a written format is on you. You don't expect the client to do it. So if you just had a meeting with the client where you change the scope or we change the pricing, you come back, you drop them an email or whatever, wherever you're recording this, you drop them an email or a WhatsApp message saying, this is what we discussed today. These are the change in the final deliverables, and hence this pricing will change. it is always good to inform them beforehand. No matter how comfortable these people are with each other, they must have written communication, because when it comes to final payment, maybe it's 6 months down the line or 12 months down the line, people will always come back to refer to this old contract. If you talk about like small clients, where the decision maker is the owner, is the payer, the confusion might just be with respect to saying, I don't remember what I said. But when you talk about large clients, say you're dealing with a very large company where your point of contact may not even have the authority to change the scope of the project or the costing, etc. So it's always important to revisit the initial contract and then come back and say, that these things have changed, hence pricing has changed, or these things have changed, hence deliverables has changed. The second reason for dissatisfaction in outsourced work is generally delegation on either side. So imagine if the client you were talking to has delegated to a junior or a different person. The communication between this manager and the delegated subordinate may not be very clear. Although the communication between the client and vendor is clear, but within the client side itself, the communication is not clear with respect to what is agreed upon, is there a change in scope, etc. Now imagine if a junior has taken over and this junior is now changing the scope of the work without informing the senior, and hence the prices have changed. After a few months, the junior leaves, and now the senior is not agreeing on whatever the junior had changed. Same thing could happen on the vendor side also, where the contract was taken by the agency owner, or like a freelancer who's like very experienced, but after few weeks into the project, the agency owner has delegated it to their account manager or some junior, or even subcontracted it to another agency. In such cases, the miscommunication will amplify, and the dissatisfaction as a result of miscommunication will amplify. So you need to always check and maybe make it part of the contract who will be the point of contact from either end, and it should always be generally one person communicating from either end. If there is some change from the client side, let that one person compile all the changes from the client side and come to the vendor. If there is some change on the vendor side, maybe the person working on the project has left or whatever, right? Let one person compile and make sure that the point of contact is always the same. Even if there is a change in hand, it is very well documented, because if there is a change in hand in middle of the project, there will be miscommunication, there will be dissatisfaction. The third reason why there is dissatisfaction is generally when the vendor is hitting below their weight class. Now, if I am capable of serving a certain kind of businesses, say I am a CA and I generally look at companies between 10 crores to 100 crore revenue. But right now I do not have enough projects in hand. I need to onboard new clients. My friend told me about this new business. They are about 50 lakh to 1 crore rupees revenue. They are paying me decently. Now again, at this moment I don't look at how much I'm getting paid, because my time is getting wasted, right? As a freelancer, my time is my inventory, which is perishable. So I will sign up at any price. Now I've signed up this customer, which is a smaller customer, probably 1/10 the size of my usual customers. And at this moment, everything is fine because I needed that extra revenue. But after few months into the project, this small client stops making sense for me. I have 10 other clients who pay me 10 times as much money, because the impact of my work is 10 times. This small user doesn't need to pay me, because again, the impact of my work on his business is very small, and hence I will lose interest. At this moment, it is important for my own reputation as a freelancer to communicate that I've lost interest, or maybe I should delegate it to somebody else, and make it very, very clear with the client. Because even if you lose the client, and the client already realizes that, okay, I've hired a vendor who's probably not used to serving my kind of clients, but he's still taking up my project and he's still doing a decent job, etc. He'll be okay to understand saying, okay, this project needs to let go of from him and give it to another vendor. But that communication as a freelancer, as an agency owner, is very important, so that you don't lose your reputation in the market. If you take up a small client and you don't serve them well, the word of mouth, that will destroy your reputation, will equally be, it will be as fast as, what will come from a large client. And when this small client becomes big, they will obviously not give you the service, give you the contract, right? And even if they've left taking service from you and you've left it on a good note, they will still refer your services to probably their friends and other people in the industry. So we looked at 3 points. A, written communication. Second, single point of contact and no delegation. And the third is when people try to, hit above their weight class as a client or below their weight class as a vendor, dissatisfaction happens. If you keep all these 3 points in mind, maybe you'll have a lot of happy customers who will give you a lot of happy testimonials. If you found this useful, let me know in the comments. If you have similar stories, please share them. And if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer them. See you next time.